Why You Should Go to Ireland by me, Danny Driggers. Me and my family touched down in Ireland on a big plane. It was a good flight because since we had to fly over the ocean, they let us watch a movie on a TV that was built into the seat in front of you so you wouldn't be bored for 7 hours. After we got a hotel, we had some breakfast. That had tomatoes, mushrooms, beans, ham, and what they call black pudding. It's made from spices, blood, and scraps of meat left over from making other products. The thing is, my parents told me this after I ate it. Gross. We also went on a tour and saw an obelisk. By the way, that's what this thing is called. There's a bigger one in Washington, and this one is the Wellington Monument. This is the River Liffey, and it's the barrier between North and South Dublin. The name Dublin comes from the Gaelic Dublin, or Blackpool, where the Poddle stream met the River Liffey to form a deep pool at Dublin Castle. This is Christ Church Cathedral, first built in the year 1030 by a bishop and a Viking king. In 1562, the roof collapsed, and what we see today is from the last remodel in the 1870s. Around the court is the Dublinia Museum, which tells the history of Dublin, including the Vikings' history of occupying Dublin. In fact, me and my dad found some toys there. Viking battle axe, medieval helmet, hard to see stuff. Daniel O'Connell, the Liberator, was Ireland's most significant pre-independence politician around 1800, but in real life, he didn't walk around with a seagull on his head. We had traveled for over 12 hours to arrive in Dublin and landed at 5 in the morning, Irish time. They are 7 hours ahead of us. Then we toured the city all day. We had been awake for more than 24 hours. I think you can understand why we were pooped. The next day we traveled to Galway on the western coast. It is an old fishing village and the biggest town in the Connemara district. We took a bus tour so we could learn about the area from our driver. This road is steep and narrow, and it's called the Skye Road. Pretty good view. This is Calmore Abbey. It was built in 1867 as a gift by Henry Mitchell for his wife Margaret. Unfortunately, she died a few years after it was built, and Henry lived for another 40 years in the castle. He never married again. Eventually, the castle was given to some nuns after their abbey had been destroyed in World War I. Now it is a very popular tourist destination. There were a lot of cool plants in Ireland, like this moss-covered old tree that looks like something from a fantasy book. The Iron Stone, the Kylemore legend is that this big rock was thrown back and forth between two mythological characters, Finn McCool and Cú Chulainn, on two nearby mountaintops. A wish is granted to those that stand with their backs turned to the stone and successfully throw a pebble over the top of it. I wasn't successful. Irish mythology doesn't have a lot of details about heroes and gods. Some of the characters are Finn McCool, Cú Chulainn, Sir Nunos, and the Fomorians and the Tuatha Dé Danann, who became fairies. The stories were changed by Christian monks, and many of the details were lost. It's all very weird and confusing. This was Jerry, our guide for the day. He was born and raised in Connemara. I went scrambling up rocks 'cause it's what I do. This was Connor Pass on our way to Dingle in County Kerry. Dad takes pictures of everything. He was amazed at how narrow the road was. I'm sure you are too. This is a two-way road. This guy was hauling his sheep to market in his trailer. At least that's what Dad thought. View of Dingle from the top of Connor Pass. You can probably have a chance to enjoy riding horses, unless your mom looked at the weather and knew it would be bad and she makes you go anyway. Other than the wet rain and the cold hail, we had fun. It probably would have been better on a sunny day, but now I have a good story. Lots of the people who live in Ireland say 4 seasons in one day. Ireland has got a lot of cool cliffs and coastline. In fact, Ireland had a lot of movies made here because of this cool scenery, like The Princess Bride and Star Wars The Force Awakens and Star Wars The Last Jedi. I don't know why Dad took a picture of this bird. There are pastures with sheep everywhere. And I mean everywhere. I think we get the point. Come on! We stayed in a real castle, Drumlin Castle in County Clare. I think everybody should stay in a 5-star castle. Drumlin was built in the 16th century and was once the home of the O'Brien clan, direct descendants of the Irish king Brian Boru. It has had some updates, like a jacuzzi and the indoor plumbing. Posing for a picture with my amigo here. I did archery and naturally excelled at it because I'm awesome. I also had big birds land on my arm. This is a falcon. Falcons were trained for hunting rabbits and other small animals. The falconer finds the bird by hearing the bells that are attached to the bird's foot. He then trades the little snacks in his bag for the falcon's catch. When the birds get too heavy to do their job for the day, they are said to be fed up. The only scary part is when they eat their dinner. And yes, I still have all my limbs. This is a barn owl named Pickles. And don't think that I put him on my hamburger. My grandpa played golf, although he and my dad were dripping as if they were just out of the shower. It rains a lot in Ireland. There are ruins everywhere in Ireland. Castles, abbeys, famine cottages, fortresses. It's probably because they've had a lot of time to build in Ireland, because people have lived there for like a quadrillion years. But the English had ruled over them for 800 years, so Ireland has only been its own country for like 100 years. Did I mention that part of Ireland still belongs to the English? It's complicated. Hey, look, a castle. This is Bunratty Castle, cousins of the people in Drumland. It was kind of like seeing a mansion from the 1500s. There was a throne room, weird wooden toilets, straw beds, and spiral staircases. Kind of like that one right there. Now it's a museum and you can walk around inside. More ruins. Even more ruins. This one's creepy because it's a cemetery now. The Rock of Cashel. This site where the King of Munster was converted to Christianity by St. Patrick. You know, St. Patrick, the guy with the day. In 1101, the King of Munster donated his fortress to the church. It got too expensive to keep. The castles are really cool, but there are so many of them that it starts to become unspecial. I think there's about as much castles as green stuff here. Don't get me wrong, I like castles, but maybe you should get out of the castles and go for a hike. My favorite part of the Ireland was the dramatic scenery, personally. There's a lot of cliffs and mountains and coastlines. Apparently this black-gray crow is a jackdaw. These little guys followed us everywhere we went. We were never anywhere without them. I almost got the feeling they were watching me. Hurling is the national sport of Ireland. It has been played for over 3,000 years. Talk about an old game. The last place we stayed was a house someone rented out to us. It was a working farm with dairy cows and some horses, but mostly cows. The dogs welcomed us to the farm. Their names were Buster and Rover. Told you they were mostly cows. The reason we went to Ireland in the first place was to see my mom's cousin's wedding. There she is with her Irish husband. They had an antique car take them from the church. I think the car was from the 1930s. Connor was the ring bearer for the wedding. We became buddies during the reception. Mom said he was my third cousin once removed in law. I think. Toasting to the new bride and groom. Actually, we were just toasting for the heck of it. It's good to be king.